And then I played Deus Ex Mankind Divided. This is a sequel to Deus Ex Human Revolution, which is a prequel slash spiritual successor to Deus Ex the original. Deus Ex is going... Mankind Divided is going like maybe below Dead Cells. It's a good game, I enjoyed it. I think I am in the minority when it comes to this game specifically. I guess I'm close to like what people said. I remember this game got a lot of hate. Really a bunch of fucking hate for being unfinished. People said it's so much worse than Human Revolution, and I don't know if I agree with that. So yeah, I put 25 hours into the base game, not the DLCs. The DLCs I rated separately. I think people overstate how unfinished this game is. Don't get me wrong. You get a feeling that there are some loose threads and that a portion of the game got cut in the making, but what's there is 100% polished and well worth playing through. Prague, which is the central location of this whole game, is a beautiful, climactic, dense city with some side stories to uncover and many apartments to break into. The story is nothing to write home about, but it's fun to go through the city uncovering conspiracies, exploring abandoned buildings, knocking out cops, messing around with environmental interactables, and finding your way around locked doors and security devices. That being said, there's less variety in locations than in Human Revolution, while the gameplay is dumbed down comparatively at the same time. Yes, you have more arguments and way more weapons to choose from, but Human Revolution's more open approach to quest and level designs took 2 steps back, which is a trend since Human Revolution already took 3 steps back in that regard from the original Deus Ex. Despite this is clearly made by people with passion who deserved better, but sadly they got Square Enix. This is in reference to the studio that made Deus Ex Mankind Divided got completely liquefied, and they put all of those people like on different projects. At this point, it's not worth to compare any game to Deus Ex the first one, because Deus Ex the first one was such a freak of nature accident that will never be repeated. It was the fucking perfect storm of everything happening that made that game, and I don't think we will ever get a repeat, so it's not worth expecting another game to measure up to Deus Ex 1. Yeah, the Deus Ex Mankind Divided was... It's a good game. I think it's a little bit overhated. I think Human Revolution wins on the basis that you visit more locations, and I like that very much. In Mankind Divided, you're just stuck in Prague and then you go to one other location for a mission and it doesn't even feel like you went anywhere. So Mankind Divided definitely had like the best. Going around Prague was the like high point. The hub area of Deus Ex Mankind Divided was truly fucking beautiful and interconnected in a lot of different ways. In Human Revolution, I barely fucking remember the hub area, for example. I only remember the guy dancing in the metro. He was kind of funny. But obviously the missions themselves were better in Human Revolution for sure. But then I played Deus Ex Mankind Divided System Rift, which is a DLC to... it's a small little DLC to Mankind Divided. It's pretty mid. I'm gonna put it like bottom of B tier maybe. It's very very mid. It was just single like extra level, so like yeah, I beat it in 3 hours. It's just one big mission for Mankind Divided, but honestly it's pretty good. The story is just an excuse for a cool bank heist mission. The mission itself reuses a lot of assets you see throughout Mankind Divided, but the level design is above and beyond anything you see in the base game. There's a lot to find, there are some gimmicks that make stealthing more challenging, and there is a reason to replay and try a different approach. Definitely a good DLC worth playing through at least once, but nothing beyond that. It's just a small little piece of DLC, we can move on. But then mankind divided a criminal past. Holy fuck. People are sleeping on this because this literally shown me what Deus Ex could have been, and rightfully so. It is the most highly rated anything to do with Mankind Divided. Criminal Past was fucking goated. I wrote about a lot of this, so I won't have to explain much, I feel. I beat it in 4 hours. It's a really small, campaign, but Criminal Past is a bite-sized map with different sections you will go through. You start out the DLC completely stripped of your Augs, which is a nice change of pace, and then you regain them over the course of the story. The pace at which you regain your arguments makes each skill point invested so much more valuable than in the base game. Will you put that point into hacking or gamble on finding a multi-tool? Maybe remote hacking to bypass those lasers, maybe a high jump to reach that balcony, maybe enhanced vision to find useful vents, maybe strength to make yourself a makeshift ladder. The cloak would make sneaking through that courtyard easier too. It's a lot of cool moving parts that fit in beautifully. The level design is above and beyond anything you will see in Mankind Divided. Again, Mankind Divided level design was very basic, in missions specifically, because just exploring Prague was cool, with many options to approach each of the cell blocks and buildings. What's more important is the fact that choices and consequences are back from original Deus Ex for the first fucking time. Well, almost. You see, how you navigate the prison affects your relationship with certain characters. I did something a character disliked and risked going into a 1v3 while turning prisoners who were up to this point friendlies into hostiles, but I managed to track him down with 2 dialogue options. I really wish the game did not let me track him down and instead made me face the consequences of my choice. So speaking of choice, the main quest can be resolved in a number of ways, and it's not as straightforward as pretty much everything you find in the base game. You need to investigate clues, make judgments, and complete side objectives to get the full picture. If Criminal Past was just one quest in Mankind Divided and all of the other quests were like that, it would be the best modern Deus Ex game fucking ever, and I would not expect for them to reach that high again. Like, Criminal Past is just one perfect mission, and sadly it's DLC, you know, but it's just one perfect mission in a game that was sorta very flawed, sadly. So then I played Layers of Fear from 2016. This game is going straight to the D tier, above Guardians of the Galaxy. Above Guardians of the Galaxy. I did not like it. I really did not like it. I think it kinda sucked, honestly. It was kinda bad. Okay. And I really disliked it even compared to like the general consensus. PT clone, that really sums it up. It really sums it up in 2 words. It's just a PT clone. And you can see it here. I played 2 hours of it and I wrote an extremely lackluster game that tries to be PT or Amnesia or anything horror related that reached critical acclaim. And even though it failed miserably in my books, it somehow tricked people into thinking this game is deep and art because it features a lot of paintings. Don't waste your 2.5 hours and couple of euros and instead watch a good movie or play a better game like any of the mentioned ones. Layers of Fear just took handfuls of things that made other horror games cool and just fucking pasted it into their game without thinking how does any of this make sense. So of course you have the some of the visual stuff is really cool, but you obviously have the gotta have the dead wife haunting you, gotta have the going through repeating hallways, and they are changing and degrading over time. It's not it's a walking simulator. That's what really annoys me. You cannot fucking die in this stupid game. So there is no like saving, there is no checkpoints, and there is no consequences. Therefore, there is no like being on edge or being scared of losing your progress. They relied on so many fucking jump scares to try to make it seem scary, while it really wasn't. It just wasn't fucking scary. The lady jumping out sometimes made you go ooh, and that's it, and it just moved on. Deus Ex and its DLC. Did I write the DLC? Nope, I didn't. It's here. Okay. So Deus Ex, A Criminal Past. It was really, really cool. It's funny that we have like two DLCs that beat out their like the original game they came from in the fucking rating. Kind of hilarious if you think about it. Yeah, I'm comfortable like putting it in S tier. Jesus Christ, if the rest of the game was like that, then the whole Mankind Divided would be like S tier in its entirety. And then we have Risk of Rain 2. This is not a game I played for the first time, but it's kind of one of... I would say it's kind of an ongoing game, just because like how much content they add, with like very frequent updates. I'm gonna put it middle of A tier. It's a great goddamn game. It's super great, super solid stuff. And the reason why I replayed it also is because my friend has gotten it, and my girlfriend also bought it, and we played together. It's one of the best like co-op things you can play with your friends to just shoot the shit and kill time. It's so cool. So I put 56 hours into Risk of Rain 2, and here's what I wrote. This is one of those games I could theoretically play forever, unlock all the achievements, master skills, modifications, unlock mastery skills, modifications, items, etc, etc, but I will not, because at some point when you hit that critical point of playing it every day for 2 weeks straight, it becomes really easy to put down once you realize you gravitate towards a certain character every run, and you feel like you progress through everything worthwhile, or the progression becomes really tedious. That doesn't really matter, since it's absolutely worth your money. The gameplay is unlike anything I experienced prior to and post playing the game. The soundtrack and soundscape of the game is a goddamn experience. The gameplay loop is just crack cocaine. There are characters that cater to wildly different playstyles. There is so much to see and so much to kill. That is Risk of Rain 2, easy A tier, like goddamn. I could even put it like somewhere higher on the list, but nah, I'm sorta okay with where it's at right now, and I don't wanna mess with the list anymore than it needs to. So let's move on to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is going into the B tier. But how high or how low? This is one of those games that is unlike anything in this tier, because this is an online game, and online games you have to approach much, much differently, I'm afraid. So I'm not sure where to put it here. When in doubt, just say it's okay. It's definitely better than Warzone. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. I'm happy with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre being like almost in the middle of B tier. It's a fun game. It's fine. It's nothing like super special. And here is what I wrote about it. I put 22 hours into it, which is respectable time, even though it's like a multiplayer game. Usually you put more into multiplayer games, but whatever. The week I started playing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I was truly addicted to it. Wake up on a free day, boot up my PC, start looking for a match, make a coffee in the meantime, play until I have to do something around the house or eat for a whole week straight. It's just kind of a cozy asymmetrical horror game, free killers hand down for victims who are trying to simply leave them up by predetermined routes. This leads to many fun chases, bumbling around the map until you learn it after a couple of matches, finding out that Sissy is objectively one of the evilest fucking characters I have ever seen in any online game, because once she hits you with a poisoned knife, you basically lose any meaningful control over your character's movement, and you're as good as dead from one fucking hit. But you learn how to play all the killers quickly, maps becomes repetitive quickly, you start feeling like there's nothing new to look forward to far too quickly, and grinding out more than 2 characters is a chore. But for all intents and purposes, that's fine. I don't need to have infinite fun with every multiplayer game I touch. I had 22 hours of really great fun, and I could easily double or triple it and still have fun, especially with friends, but I have a backlog to conquer, so I will be moving on. And yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was fun. It's really good game. Like, I will say, with some friends, this easily could like jump up the list. I don't know how the balance changed ever since I stopped playing it. I stopped playing it 24th of August 2023. This is not long after it released, I think, like 2 weeks, something like that. It's just a fun game to play if you want some multiplayer fun with your friends, you know. And then then you have JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Eyes of Heaven, and this little thing is going bottom of B tier, but like above System Rift. Like the DLC was very dry. Actually, I'm bumping this down. Uh, I'm bumping this down to C tier, just because it makes the list more easy to look at. And System Rift was like really middling, in my opinion. Speaking of middling, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure: Eyes of Heaven. Oh my god. So the really important distinction is, I think, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Star Butter are this one, right? This is a better fighting game. This is undoubtedly a better fighting game. But for me personally, I didn't like it. That's why it's so low. This is so high because I really fucking liked it, but I would never put it like higher because it's not a great game. Like at all. So I put 15 hours into it. This includes the main story and like the couple of side achievement things I did. And this is what I think. It's really easy to put this one down as soon as you finish the story mode, which is probably the biggest insult I can imagine to a fighting game. The multiplayer is dead, but even if it wasn't, why would I subject myself to online battles in a game that has nearly zero skill expression, text, and a lot of cheese? That being said, I enjoyed the story because it's tons of fan service for serious JoJo fans. You get to see a lot of characters that will never interact with each other in manga or anime do so in this game. 3 out of 5 is really stretching it, considering I fucking love JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and it's not even that high of a rating, which is saying something. I don't recommend this game to anyone who has not finished part 7 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Both because you will get slapped with some serious spoilers and because you will probably not think much of this game anyway if you haven't gotten into the manga due to liking the overall XP. This is definitely like a game for JoJo nerds, and I think like any person that's not a huge JoJo nerd should stay away from it. It's not worth your time. Gravity Rush Remastered. Where is it? There it is. It's going into C tier and it's going into like right here, I think. So here's what I had to say. Man, this game is so overhyped in my opinion. Like, I just don't get it. Is it because the main character is a pretty anime girl? It's because of that, isn't fucking it? So, 12 hours, finished the main story, did some really like basic side quests, and here you go. This game is quite literally a cool tech demo for gravity shift movement. If you plan on picking this up, do yourself a favor and play for an hour in the open world, do some races and delete this game because it already peaked. The story is uninspired, boring and the biggest nothing burger in my recent memory. The game's art style just sucks, everything is grey, boring, nothing. Enemy designs are all summed up by it's a black block or blob in a shape of blank. So yeah, shape of a spider, shape of a little crab, shape of a fucking floating thing, whatever. They are as uninteresting to look at as they are boring to fight. The combat is beyond bad, it's actively trying to annoy you at every single opportunity. There's a bunch of attacks that track enemies for you. Many of them will be your bread and butter in fights and they tend to miss a lot. This is made worse by the fact you have 3 special powers that are your big damage dealers. They are all tied to the same cooldown that starts as soon as you finish the special attack. I had so many fucking situations where I was one hit and the boss was low HP enough to take him out with a special attack. I do it and it completely misses the boss for no reason, making me retreat to a safe area and wait out the cooldown before trying again because I don't want to repeat this shitty boss fight. Which boss was that? Just pick one. There's not a single good boss fight in the entire game. There's not a single good fight in the entire game because the combat blows. And the game will force encounter after encounter onto you with a lot of filler on screen that you will have to defeat to move on, especially in the second half of the game. All the characters are just cardboard, they don't do anything interesting, they don't say anything interesting, and if you have ever seen any anime cliche in your life, you best believe Gravity Rush will have it. Some scenes just made me physically cringe in front of the TV, whether it's cartoon tier, villain designs and speeches, or the protagonist getting fucking tricked for the 25th time in the story. I would not recommend the game overall to literally anyone. The 2 out of 5 or 4 out of 10 is only that I bumped it up even to like 2.5 out of 5, so 5 out of 10. It's only there for 2 reasons. I could easily go even lower. When it comes to visual design, Kat, the protagonist, actually looks pretty goddamn standout. That's great character design. And the first hour of the game, when you are learning gravity controls and are zooming around the open world, are goddamn fun. Like the combat in this game was so bad. I really hated it. Like, it has so many cool ideas, because yeah, you transform gravity to attack, but then you have to like awkwardly aim this, and it will sometimes miss for no reason. Like, he just missed. That was fucking auto aim, fucking up his input, because it auto aims actually a lot to the orbs, and then you just slide over the enemy and not hit it. I never bothered to use combat on the ground because most of enemies are anyway floating in the air anyway. This boss was just a goddamn fucking freak to fight because he kept running away from you. Such great design, and you run out of gravity meter, you fall for a little bit, you turn on the gravity, You get closer to him for like half an hour and then you kick him twice and he goes away. And the hits are not always counting. Jesus Christ. Just, oh my god, I am so glad I am done with that game. Holy fuck. I still wanna check out the sequel, maybe it got better, but I am not holding my breath. We are finally entering, like, the most recent stuff I played. Postal Brain Damaged, which is a straight, like 8 out of 10 game. I will put it maybe like right here. Okay, I respect Ico a little bit more for what it does, so I'll put it right here. Actually below Risk of Rain 2. Fuck, it's next to Postal 2. Okay, below Postal 2, because I think Postal 2 is a little bit better. So Postal Brain Damaged is a spin-off that's very similar to Doom 2016, like this person said. This is what I had to write for it. I played 10 hours of it. Honestly, this is on par, if not better, than the reason Postal exists as a franchise at all, that being Postal 2. I would even go so far as to say that the team behind Brain Damaged, which is not the main dev of Postal, gets Postal more than running with scissors after the disappointments of Paradise Lost and what I heard about Postal 4 so far. Yeah, Paradise Lost was that expansion that I talked about, that was disappointing. And like I said, this really rivals Postal 2 in terms of humor and fun actually out of this video game, but I think Postal 2 is the way more replayable game, so it's going like below it for sure. Lost Judgment, ladies and gentlemen. Lost fucking Judgment, the sequel to Judgment, which is right here. Lost Judgment is going straight into S tier. And I'm thinking it. Yeah, I liked it more than Hollow Knight. Fuck it. Lost Judgment fucking rocks, man. Oh my god. Let's see what I wrote. I put 56 hours into it and I would come back. I wanna come back for the rest of like the side content and everything. But sadly, I played this on PS Plus subscription and I will have to just buy this game because it's so good, man. So it features the best combat and story out of our Ryuga Gatawa games I have played so far, that being Yakuza 0, Yakuza Kiwami 1, Yakuza Kiwami 2, Yakuza 3 and both Judgment games. The story is phenomenal with some truly touching scenes, man. Almost every single complaint that I have with the previous title, which is the original Judgment, was addressed. They expanded combat, there is less trailing missions, the pacing is better, there were additions to transversal throughout the map to make it better options for investing your skill points. It's a perfect sequel. It's literally a perfect sequel. Holy hell. Honestly, it was almost perfect. It still has issues. Nothing will ever be perfect, but just the fact that this is the second game I have ever graded as a 5 out of 5, so like 10 out of 10, has to mean something. I have put 56 hours into my first playthrough with a decent amount of doing side stuff, even just enjoying old SNES era games at the in-game arcade, and all that time went by in a goddamn instant. Could not recommend it more, especially if you were into the previous installment in the slightest. What a good fucking game. I wish more games were this good. Holy shit. Speaking of games that are good, here is one that's not. Diablo 2 Resurrected. So, Diablo 2 is... Where's that fucking... Diablo 2 is going straight into here. Way below Gravity Rush, below... Maybe not below the JoJo. You know what? I'm putting it here. And I'm putting down As Dusk Falls like even lower because that game had one job and it failed to do it. Diablo 2 Resurrected. Here is my full review after 25 hours. The only good thing about this is to relieve some nostalgia, so if you never played Diablo 2 during its release years, don't bother in 2023 because this is a 2000s game with a fresh coat of paint. Its gameplay aged horribly as nearly all loot-based games that came after Diablo 2 have significantly improved its formula. I honestly feel fucking stupid for completing this game. I tried it with my girlfriend, got to the tail end of Act 2 and we dropped it because Diablo 2's gameplay loop is just so boring. I eventually came back and finished Act 4 before being done with it. Diablo is dead, I don't fucking care about the rest of the story. I actually super regret picking it back up and playing through the rest. You get swarmed by mobs 24/7 and spend 5 to 10 minutes killing each group of enemies, which consists of you holding left click with the occasional spellcast in between. The main draw to Diablo 2 was always building your character, finding better gear, etc, etc, except that at normal difficulty, the one you start on, you will change your gear once maybe 3 to 5 hours of play. I literally had the same gear for around 8 hours in Act 1 because the game refused to drop me some better gear from the 30-ish bosses, special and rare monsters that we fucking killed in that time. Every single health bar of nearly anything you go against is so bloated you will be whacking at a boss for solid 15 minutes at a time even if he does no damage to you. This can extend to upwards of 30 minutes if he is actually a threat and you need to portal out, restock on potions and such. The gameplay is also super sluggish. Sometimes your character drinks a potion 1 to 2 seconds after the button press. Sometimes he doesn't cast his abilities even though I'm pressing the button to cast the abilities. Bosses and strong mobs can get stuck on stuff or stop responding to you being around, which results in them getting mauled or shot to death, which still takes 10 minutes flat, even with the boss not even fucking moving. Amazing. All of the dungeons, environments and maps are bland and empty of any meaningful life. This game is literally the only RPG looter hack and slash where I skipped every single optional area because I knew the loot from it will be garbage and there's no joy to be had from the game's extremely simple combat. At that point you have to ask yourself, does this game have anything else going for it? Well, the different classes and their skill trees are cool, I guess. The cinematics look super dope and are fairly entertaining. The part that confuses me is that people say that Diablo 2 has a great plot. It fucking doesn't, you liars. The plot is kill the demons because they are evil. It's almost as simple as it can get. The presentation is great, character designs are and key locations look cool, but they all deliver very predictable run-of-the-mill dialogue and story. I think all of those are reasons enough to put it like at the bottom there. So, and then I played Silent Hill 4 The Room, which is also some overhyped garbage in my opinion. Okay, it's not garbage, but yeah, people like this who think this is a 10 out of 10 and it's underrated, there's something wrong with them. Genuinely. I am very fucking sorry. Silent Hill The Room is going like maybe here. That's the highest I can go for this fucking game. So, what's the problem with this one? 10 hours and 36 minutes to complete the story, easily the worst Silent Hill made by Team Silent, the original developers, due to multiple infuriating design decisions. Which is a shame because the opening 30 minutes are literal peak of this entire series. I stand by that, that is very true. Gameplay, the combat, historically terrible or just plain basic across all Silent Hills, was made even fucking worse by adding a very bad wind-up mechanic. Those heavy attacks will often just miss your target standing right in front of you, and a dodge that is even worse than that. Moreover, the devs in their infinite wisdom added a limited inventory space and an infinite box in your safe zone to store items, clearly inspired by Resident Evil. The inventory mechanic leads to some cool moments where you have to go back to your safe zone and interact with certain equipment to alter items, solve puzzles, and progress the story. I liked that. What I don't like is that you cannot reload your gun with bullets from the ground when your inventory is full, like you can in every single Resident Evil that has ever been fucking made. You can use healing items from the ground and you can't. Sorry, what the hell? You can't use healing items from the ground, and most importantly, you cannot fucking dismiss or drop items. This leads to situations when you are forced to backtrack to the safe zone and dump items only to backtrack to the item and pick it up. This sounds minor, but it will be like solid 25% of your playthrough if you play like me. I'm not fucking kidding. I always held on to 1 melee and ranged weapons, ammunition for the ranged weapon, 1 heal, and 2 anti-ghost equipment. Usually there was a key item I needed to hold on because I did not know when I will use it. So that's 7 out of 10 total slots gone. In Resident Evil, I would be okay with that. But in Silent Hill, nothing stacks. There are 3 different healing items, but none of them stack. And ammo doesn't stack if you take 2 mags for the handgun. And the weapon itself, that's like 30% of your inventory gone. What the fuck? The second enemy you run into who becomes a regular from that point is the ghost. These motherfuckers are immortal. They always get back up unless you pin them to the ground with the 3rd rarest item in the game, and they deal damage by just being near you, countered only by wearing the 2nd rarest item in the game. It breaks after standing in their damage zone for too long. They also have a massive HP pool you need to get through to even have a chance to knock them down to the ground, unless you use the rarest item in the fucking game, the silver bullet, to one-shot them. Do you see the problem that immediately pops up from that description? They are one of the shittiest enemies in all of gaming. They attack with no animation, they float so you can't get away from them unless you leave the room, and require you to waste the most precious resources you have in the entire video game. To top it all off, they just look like run-of-the-mill zombies, no cool-ass design like Pyramid Head or anything from previous games, just a grey dude with blood on him. I don't even have the strength to talk about how they butchered level design, puzzles, environments compared to previous entries. Every single thing related to moving your character through the levels and things you will see is a direct downgrade from every single Silent Hill before that one. And the story is kinda bad, and there's the room, which is the only good part of the game. There's the summary. I don't wanna read all of this even because thinking about Silent Hill for the room actually fucking hurts my soul. But then there is we can do even worse. Silent Hill Homecoming. Okay, I lied. Lords of the Fallen is better than Silent Hill Homecoming. Only slightly, but you know. Oh my fucking god, Silent Hill Homecoming, Jesus Christ. Okay, this one is kinda brief, so... There are no words in the English language that can explain how funny this game is. A Japanese developer hands the keys to their IP known for nuanced, heavy stories, driven mostly by an incredible cast of flawed, deep, weirdo characters to a USA dev, and they immediately turn it into a combat-oriented game about an army man that's all in the head with puzzles that insult the player's intelligence, while dangling words Silent Hill and iconic characters like Pyramid Head and Robbie the Rabbit every 15 fucking minutes of gameplay. All this without even mentioning the story is garbage. The dialogue is written by actual fucking alien creatures. The game crashes every second loading screen. And this has a lot of loading screens. It's certain kind of funny to play this right after 1, 2, 3 and 4 and depressing at the same time. There are zero good reasons to ever play this. The only thing might be satiating your morbid curiosity about how one of the most iconic gaming franchises fell to its fucking knees, man. Jesus Christ. Diablo 3 and Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls. Diablo 3 is going like here. Diablo 3 is going here. So let's see what I wrote about it. And then Reaper of Souls is going actually above that. This is the expansion to Diablo 3. Yeah, I'm just gonna put them next to each other. Fuck it. Okay, so put 35 hours into this, and this is what I had to say. For literally years, people told me that Diablo 2 is one of the greatest games of all time and that Diablo 3 is a disappointing hollow sequel. After playing them back to back in 2023, this could not have been further from the truth. No nostalgia nonsense here and no favoritism based on which was my first, since I finished Diablo 2 first. Diablo 3 does almost every single possible thing better than 2, full stop. The most disappointing thing was the lack of skill trees, which were amazing in 2, but you will finally swap out your gear more than once every 8 hours. You can finally increase or decrease the difficulty mid-campaign to suit your needs, and the environments are no longer soulless hollow killing floors. It's an improvement through and through. Doesn't mean it's perfect game or anything, of course. The story is still barely even there. There's a bad man, kill him, is the story of every single Diablo and it will never change. There's very little place for nuanced storytelling with this type of gameplay. And you just kinda have to accept that going in. Speaking of, killing rooms full of monsters, adjusting your build and trying different abilities and passives that empower them is fun. It just doesn't last. After one playthrough of the campaign in co-op that clocked in around 35 hours, grinded some extra stuff and took a detour to see the secret level, it became quite monotonous. There's a good chance I will not interact with the seasonal content at all because I'm kinda already over this game and we still have the DLC to beat. It's nice enough time, especially in co-op with friends. The quality of life that was very much absent from its predecessor is there, but the endgame grind seems so pointless to me in a basically single player co-op game. This also applies to Diablo 2, by the way. I wish the game was a little bit shorter, to be honest. It did feel padded by the end. Still, it was nice enough. And then Reaper of Souls I played right after. This took like 2 hours. It was so like short. It literally took 2 hours to beat this DLC. What the fuck? If I bought it at launch for $40, I would be a smidge angry. Granted that this is an expansion pack and not a DLC, a lot of content I was interacting with in the base game was already from Reaper of Souls. To be honest, there's not much to say. Like any Diablo game, there is no story, there's a bad man, and you need to beat him to death because you're a good man. The bad man is Maltael, a fallen angel who looks like death. He looks and sounds extremely edgy, but his overall design is pretty neat. You go through environments, most of which are much more fun to look at than base Diablo 3, kill enemies which are pretty much just the same as in the base game, and then it's all over. It's just some mindless fun, especially in co-op. It's literally nothing special. Black Mesa, okay. Black Mesa was good. I don't wanna put it under Star Rail. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put it right here, like below Penumbra Overture. Black Mesa was a cool remake. It took a long way to come out, but it finally did, and it's cool. I don't think it's like even comparable to the original Half-Life in certain ways, but it's better in others. It's such a weird remake. I don't know what to say. So I played it for 22 and a half hours. Here's what I wrote. I desperately wanted to rate it higher, but I can't do that in good faith. After playing it to completion, I clocked in 22 hours to get all the achievements, 2 of which in particular add a unique and frustrating challenge to your run, neither of which tanked the score, by the way. This is around 6 or 7 more hours than a normal run of Black Mesa will take. The team from the Crowbar Collective did an excellent job of remaking one of the most beloved FPSs of all time, but there are issues from minor to moderate, but they stack up by the end and you will feel it. First of all, the game was very fucking buggy, and this is years after full release, with a lot of bug fixes, with a lot of additions. Sometimes a mission critical item will phase through the wall and you need to reload a checkpoint. You will clip out of the map. Happened to me like multiple times in that original 17-hour run, which is insanity to me, especially since like it's a remake and not, I guess it is from the kind of a ground up, so you will get crushed by object barely touching your hitbox and die instantly. This is an issue with the engine. I remember this happening to me in Half-Life 2 also, but not nearly like this frequently. An enemy will eat all your shots from your favorite high-powered weapon and ignore all the damage until you get much closer to him. It's incredibly easy to sequence break one of the bosses, especially if you are doing achievements that require you to carry items through the fight. While not a bug, these also feel like ones. Hitboxes on some objects are way bigger than the object, thus they will block your shots when firing from behind them, and there are lots of magic walls in places that don't necessarily make sense for it. Some block your path artificially from going back in the level. I have no idea why they have done this, and some prevent minor skips, which would have been a really cool reward for curious players. All of this creates the feeling of junk that someone inexperienced in the industry made this. This game lacks polish that full release of a game like Half-Life or an official remake made by Valve ought to have, which is understandable, you know, it's a remake by fans. The second big problem was the balance. If you play on normal, Ward, headcrabs, zombies, assassins, the majority of the roster is laughable. You can even easily put the final boss here because compared to the Marines, they are all trash. I'm half considering booting up the original Half-Life to see if they do even a quarter of the damage they do in Black Mesa. They spit out insane damage, never miss a shot, and need milliseconds of direct line of sight to start firing on you. They even keep firing in the direction they saw you last. Hell, they even kept shooting at me through the walls as if they were not there. I'm pretty sure this is just a visual bug though. Yeah, the fucking Marines in Black Mesa remake were so much stronger than anything else in the game. It was insanity. I don't know what they did to them. And of course then there is the level design, like the maps from laboratories from the first half of the game were very faithfully remade. They are amazing, they are so cool. And then Zen was expanded and reimagined, because Zen in original Half-Life was very underwhelming. So this led to a very strange situation, because the Zen chapter was a vast improvement over the original for the most part. And the last actual non-boss chapter, Interloper, which still takes place in the alien dimension of Zen, was a mix of great new storytelling additions, new models, new textures, new locations, which are like brand new, never have been seen before, and those made for some really cool scenes. And then it ended with some of the worst gameplay in the entire fucking game. This leaves a seriously sour taste in your mouth because the last 1 to 3 hours are stacked with uninspired puzzles, elevator fights, the damn conveyor belts, and fight after fight after fight after fight after fight. Why did they not put some of these fights in between all the cable management puzzles and jumping over lasers instead of stacking it all on that stupid conveyor belt and the elevator ride? I don't fucking know. So yeah, it's a really cool fucking remake, but it didn't stick the landing. Like the last bit, the last like 4 hours were significantly worse than my time with Half-Life, even though Zen in Half-Life was very bad, very barren, but at least it was over quickly. And this has better Zen that then becomes much worse. So then we move on to the Demon's Souls remake for the PS5. And I'm sticking it... let's see, I will stick it right here above Gravity Rush, firmly into C tier. And why is that, you might ask? So I finished the game after 25 hours, and this is what I had to say. If you are looking to get into Souls series, please avoid this game and start at Dark Souls, Bloodborne or Elden Ring. My god, this game aged beyond poorly, and some stuff was already very bad on day one anyway. From slow, almost goddamn geriatric combat to cryptic mechanics that will fuck you over if you don't play with a guide open, to literally the worst level design of any Souls game. The music and presentation are great, except that all those pretty graphics often blend together, making it impossible to tell corpses from enemies, from objects, from random shit. Good luck running through some areas from the 5th Archstone. Devs made no attempt to signify where you are supposed to be going, so you'll second guess yourself every step. I heard an argument that the art style is actually not faithful to the original also, but I cannot confirm that. I didn't play the original Demon's Souls. So yeah, there are 17 bosses total in Demon's Souls. In any other Souls game, they would have been the ultimate test of everything you learned with a gimmick fight here and there. In Demon's Souls, like 4 of them are actual fights, of which one is really fucking annoying because there are spots on the arena where you take damage from lava. One gives you an NPC helper that can solo the boss if you are diligent and go out of your way to explore, so there are like 2 actual good boss fights in the entire game. Developers of the remake did not bother to remove the carrying capacity from your backpack, which is a mechanic that's not there for any other Souls game for a good fucking reason. Mainly because it fucking sucks. Weapon upgrading is still a nightmare. Farming for said weapons is a huge time sink, and if you don't commit to it, you simply won't have upgraded weapons. Materials drop from specific enemies in specific zones instead of being sprinkled all over the game, just like every single Souls game after this did. Word tendency is still a thing, despite being wildly disliked by fucking fans of the original. There was barely any attempt to make the gameplay better and bring it closer to something like Dark Souls 3, which did not have any of those problems because the devs spent the last decade upgrading the Souls formula. This is a huge one for me. I am very confused about why they... So they remade the game, right? The original is from what, 2009? Something like that. They remade this game after 11 years and they didn't include any fucking quality of life that this series has made after 11 years in the making. I am so confused about that. Why is inventory carrying capacity a thing still? Why didn't they touch the word tendency? Why didn't they kept the gender locked armor, which is a very bad mechanic because like one gender actually has better fucking armor. The grass obviously is a bad mechanic, but that's so tied into the identity of the game. I don't know what they could do about that. So lastly, there's a final fuck you personally to me, because I have been there day one for every single game since I played Dark Souls Prepare to Die edition in 2011. I heard so much about this game over the years. I considered getting a PS3 just to play Demon's Souls. So imagine how happy I was to finally try the game that started it all, thanks to PS Plus. But now I see if I ever started with Demon's Souls, I would have never become a fan of the franchise. So please do yourself a favor and select a way better starting point than this, and then don't come back for this one, because like there's no cool idea in Demon's Souls that wasn't expanded later. Like in terms of atmosphere, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Elden Ring are so much better. In terms of raw gameplay, every single fucking game in the franchise is better. I say franchise, you know, with a quote, because it's kinda different games. Okay, let's move on. Then I played Kenshi. Oh my fucking god, Kenshi is so based. Where is it, Kenshi? It's going like... oh fuck, I don't know where to put it. I think it's going like bottom of the S tier for now. You know what? Above the DLC for Deus Ex. Kenshi is fucking amazing. So I played 22 hours of Kenshi and I wrote all of this. I don't wanna read all of this because I paraphrased this entire like review in my video about reviewing games Seth Sintach convinced me to buy. I talked about Kenshi, I talked about Underrail, which Underrail is also going like... I'm thinking like top of B tier or somewhere here. I'm gonna be generous to Underrail because it's pretty much one developer with some additional help, and put it above the Fury fighting game, because the Fury fighting game is there just because I really liked it. So Kenshi and Underrail I talked about in that video, so I'm not going to expand like too much here. They are impressive ass games. Max Payne I already rated because I saw that like trailer for a remixed graphic. You better say a few words in general. So yeah, Kenshi is it's like you have one guy at the beginning of the game. You can recruit others into your squad. It controls like a real-time strategy. You know, you hold left click, select all your units, right click, and they will go there. You build a base, and it's like an open world sandbox game where you can destroy cities, entire civilizations, take slaves, become slaves. I don't think you can take slaves in the base game, but you can kidnap people and strap them into torture machines, so basically the same thing. You can destroy the whole world. There's a beautiful like handcrafted map that each part of the map has its own identity. Some parts there's a giant laser that chases you, some parts there are crab people that control crabs, some parts there are big things which will beat the fuck out of you, some parts of the map are the holy nation, which is like the closest to civilization you can get in Kenshi, but they also hate women and people of different races than, you know, white, so pretty much just Christianity. And there are these different fantastic races that are so cool. I think Kenshi is, both in lore, gameplay, aesthetics, it's top tier definitely, but it's a one-man game and you can feel it because some gameplay mechanics are not that deep and that hurts. Underrail, on the other hand, is turn-based open world CRPG. It looks like Fallout and it has mechanics like Fallout 1 and 2 specifically, but it's, instead of focusing on world building and characters like Fallout, it focuses on combat. So if you like games like XCOM that are very action oriented and all combat and strategizing what you're gonna do, Underrail is definitely not for people who are looking for like very deep RPGs with cool lore. if you think about open world RPGs, you think about like Fallout New Vegas, Witcher, the old Fallouts, whatchamacallit, the Elder Scrolls. All of these games are not great for their combat. All of these games are great for the setting and the story. I think Underrail setting and story are so generic and boring, but the combat makes the game what it is. Like it's pure gameplay over like substance of the story and whatever, which is for very specific kinds of gamers. I don't think everybody will enjoy that game. Okay, moving on. Like I said, each of these games could be tacked on for hours and I would still have things to say about, so I needed to like tone it down for purposes of making the video not 5 hours long. So then I played Max Payne 2, the fall of Max Payne, and they weren't fucking kidding, because Max Payne fell off after this game. I still think it's like... let's see, I don't wanna put it below Black Mesa. As a standalone game, it's better than Penumbra. Persona 3 Portable, that port in particular was just fucking bad. So let's say above Overgrowth, below Underrail, something like that. Yeah, bottom of A tier. That's a fine way. So yeah, Max Payne 2, I finished it in 7 hours, and yeah, for a game that takes roughly 7 hours to complete, this sure feels like it stretches at certain parts. Overall, I will sum it up like this. Way better gameplay than Max Payne 1. They really iterated on the gameplay, the graphics are so much better also. The mechanics where you can dual wield different weapons, you have like new melee options, the grenades are not a separate inventory but are a button press, fucking finally, modern games. And these games came out 2 years apart, I believe. Max Payne 2 was 2003 and Max Payne 1 was 2001. 2 years apart, and the graphics and the gameplay are like had such astounding progress. I know they got picked up by Rockstar Games by now, so they had the money to do it. But the story is so much worse, and the characters are literally the same from Max Payne 1, and anybody new is not interesting in the slightest, and some characters from the fucking first one are just worse, so it's definitely like way below Max Payne 1. Still a good game, still a really fun shooter. And then we have Alan Wake 1. Alan Wake 1 is going into B tier for sure, and I think it's like... let's put it below Black Mesa, sure. About Alan Wake, I already kinda talked about in Bricky's review, so I don't wanna like yap on too much. This took me 12 hours for base game, and it's 2 DLCs. The story is cool, some aspects of it are great even, but they forgot to make the fucking game fun, and 80% of its runtime is actually playing and not watching cutscenes or listening to dialogue. Yeah, if you want more, you can watch my reaction to Bricky's Alan Wake review. I agree with him almost 100%, and I talked about at length about that game, so I don't wanna yap on too much. Alan Wake, the story, amazing. The story, SSS tier. Put it way the fuck above there. The gameplay, like D tier. The gameplay is worse than some games in D tier. The gameplay is worse than Deathloop for sure. Fucking Lords of the Fallen had more engaging gameplay. That's why it dropped down so much. And then I played the follow-up, Alan Wake's American Nightmare, which is very on par with Alan Wake. And now we have an inverse, right? American Nightmare has made the gameplay way better because it's more arcadey, shootery thing, rather than being boring, so kinda realistic, right? but the story is just filler. It's honestly filler between Alan Wake 1 and 2, so it doesn't matter. You do find out some cool details if you go for the completionist things. But yeah, it takes 3 hours to beat this, man. 3 hours, Christ. For the release price of $10, it's insanely worth it to play through this at least once. For the $2 it's going for now, since there's literally no excuse not to go through the campaign once, and there's like wave defense mini game attached to it. It's not great, but you know, it's whatever. The gameplay got so much better, while the story fell the fuck off. And then we have Outward, and Outward is right here. Outward Definitive Edition is going top of D tier. I don't wanna put it in C tier. I am happy that this game's rating like fell off slightly, because it had a better rating on this website. I don't think it deserved it, honestly. I am very critical of this game for it being an indie, but I'm sorry, it's just like 75% of this game is just walking. That is so fucking unacceptable that even like every single reviewer ever acknowledges that yeah, there's too much walking, you need to install mods for it. How the fuck did the developers not pick up on this, that there's too much walking, and maybe make the character move faster out of combat, maybe make the game, maybe make the maps smaller, like do anything interesting to circumvent that. They didn't do that because like Outward felt so passionless to me. I know a lot of people really like Outward for split screen co-op and like a local multiplayer and like multiplayer period. That's a cool feature, I agree, but it doesn't make the game good. So again, Outward is talked about in that video I mentioned, reviewing Seth games. Check it out if you wanna hear more about this game. Then I played Days Gone, and Days Gone is the most 6 out of 10 game I have ever fucking played. Way more of a 6 out of 10 game than Alan Wake is. That's why it's bottom of the B tier. Days Gone, on the other hand, like directly opposite of, like Outward is an experimental, risque game, right? Days Gone is the safest open world fucking third person shooter you can make. It's literal Assassin's Creed type of slop, but it felt like I played it in the middle of all of those experimental RPGs, and I was like, I know why they make games like this now, because it's just comfort. Like you escape from the insanity of like Outward and Under Rail, and you go into Days Gone and it's just, oh, I click on the zombie, I get the upgrade, I do the mission. It's literally zero thoughts occurred when I was playing this game. I never thought about anything once. Maybe when I was doing like additional challenges. It's just one of those games you play and mellow out completely. I didn't even fucking write anything for the review. I just reviewed it and moved on. Even though I played 53 hours of this is a long ass fucking game, and I got all the achievements for it because I was just comfortable with the gameplay. So like the shooting is mid, the open world exploration is mid. It has all of the slop of like Assassin's Creed, so not Assassin's Creed, sorry. Far Cry, right? Far Cry 3 introduced that formula that we are still fucking going with. So there are bandit camps that you retake, you collect herbs to make little fucking, you know, injectors, to the med kits, whatever. You unlock like weapons to your locker for doing very specific things. It's just fucking Far Cry, man. We have been doing Far Cry for so many years now in open world games. But the really cool thing about Days Gone that I will always say was really cool is the bike, because it's a it's a zombie game also. I don't know if I said that. It's zombie, so it's such slop, man. Open world shooter, this fucking zombie game, sloppiest of them all. But it's also like a biker game in the middle of all that. So you're a biker man that's really fucking lame. That story tries to make him to be like a cool guy. He's so lame. I hate him so much. He doesn't shut the fuck up. He always talks about something. I don't care. I wish there was a legitimate mute this guy mod for this game. But when you're riding the bike, right, and you find upgrades you buy upgrades for it, you do custom paint jobs for it, you earn some custom paint jobs from missions, and you need to find fuel in the middle of like a really long road trip and like fix your bike. That felt cool. That was the mellowest part of it all. Like when you ride on the bike, you are completely in the zone. Like the environment is beautiful. You go through this beautiful forest on your bike. The zombies are just background noise. They don't fucking matter for anything. They're just kinda there, and you're chilling on your bike. It's cool. If they made it like entirely like a biker game, it would have been so much better. Like finding resources to craft parts for your bike, and I don't know, the goal is to go through the country, like make it to the like other fucking side of America or something, and the environments change. If this game was that, it would have been like fucking 8 or a 9, man. The bike, the riding the bike felt really satisfying. And then a random wolf comes out of the fucking forest, bites your ass, you're on the dirt, you have to engage with the slop combat, and you are back in the experience, and you are like, I just wanna get on the bike, man. I just wanna ride. So it's so mid. There was a psyop going on. I don't know if you felt that, but there was a psyop going on that people legitimately tried to convince a lot of people on the internet that this is a good game and it's underrated. I think that was a fucking psyop by the FBI or something. I don't know what was the goal. Maybe Sony marketing like tried to start a grassroots movement for people to retry this game, so it has a second chance. But that was a fucking lie. This is not an underrated gem. This is a mid game that deserves to go out forgotten. I don't want another Assassin's Creed series. Like that game was not interesting enough to get a sequel, and rightfully it won't get a sequel. I know a lot of fans are angry about that. I don't care, it was mid. Speaking of mid, this is not mid, this is fucking terrible. Saints Row Got Out of Hell. I hate this game. Yeah, I think I hate this game. I honestly, now that I think about it, post playing it, I think I would have rated it less than I did. And I rated it 2 out of 5, so 4 out of 10. I think it belongs like even fucking lower. You know what? I'm gonna swap it with Outward. Fuck it. Outward doesn't deserve to be below Got Out of Hell. So Saints Row Got Out of Hell. Oh. So I played for 11 hours and I got all of the achievements in 11 hours. And it's just whatever. I have no idea who they made this game for. The story is over within 3 fucking hours of playtime. I 100%ed it in 10 hours. Well, I would if there wasn't an achievement for playing 20 hours straight and one for playing 3 hours of co-op. I ain't doing all that shit for a goddamn Saints Row Got Out of Hell. Goes double for co-op. It would be beyond embarrassing to ask one of my friends to play this with me for 3 hours, so I just used third-party software to give myself the achievements. I deserve them after playing this for 10 hours. Once you are done with most of the fun activities like insurance fraud and fly racing minigame, you realize how empty this game is. Because everything is combat related. Yeah, this game was like... It was all minigames, there was barely any story, and the story itself was so ridiculous. I don't know why they made this game. It's really bad. what was this? December, right? December 15th was the last day I played Dead by Daylight in 2023. That's why I rated it. Like I am still playing it, so because it's an online game, so you know. It's like a 6 out of 10 game, man. Definitely above here, because it held my interest more than these two, like Warzone and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And that's about it. I can't really place it any higher. Let me front load this with something positive. I have 1000 hours in this game. I have like 1100 by now. Let me front load this with something positive before I start ranting. It's really fun with friends. It's a great background game to just shoot the shit with your mates and kinda put together some funny combos, try to get them to work in gameplay. If you don't treat this game seriously, it's so fun, especially like if you have a pre-made team. And there is fun to be found here, even if at its core a lot of enemy players will try to ruin it. And I mean that the game's community is the worst. I played League and CSGO for years, and this community dwarfs both of these. I think League is overall the more competitive game. It brings out more vitriol out of people. But in Leagues, there were games where nobody was using the chat and nobody was spamming like the chat the whole game. And in Dead by Daylight, I had games where the entire fucking match, like 3 out of 4 players on the opposite sides, were just committed to trying to troll me and not play the game, which is fucking ridiculous. I have never seen that in any other game. Like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, all I said about the community sucks because the core gameplay is super interesting and clever. Not to mention the goddamn licenses. You have Alien, Gene Valentine, Nicolas Cage, Ashley Williams and Steve Harrington in the same match. I literally put 1000 hours into it. This would be considered semi-advanced by the community, and not even advanced, expert or pro. I just kinda know more than the average player, that's about it. After 1000 fucking hours. In Counter-Strike, StarCraft or some other games I would consider this fair, but in this case, it's so not worth it to become an expert at Dead by Daylight. This is way too much commitment to become good at a video game like this. Because Dead by Daylight is not StarCraft, Counter-Strike, even League. Because it has so much random elements to it that will fuck you over anyway. Like in League, there is no, oh, I loaded into the wrong map. I fucking lost this game because my character sucks at this thing. So moving on, we have My Hero Wants Justice, which is an arena fighting game that's going into... It's a better arena fighting game than JoJo's Eyes of Heaven. Okay, I'm gonna put it above Days Gone, because Days Gone is just kinda... This is also slop, but fighting game slop, so kinda better. And above Postal Apocalypse Weekend. I cannot put it above Resident Evil 3 Remake. So My Hero Wants Justice is a pretty good arena fighting game. I played like 4 hours of it only. So it's definitely a good arena fighting game. So, you know, still a mid to bad actual fighting game, because arena fighting games are like babyfied fighting games. You cannot really do true combos. You can only auto combo. Which obviously is an insult to your intelligence as a player, but they want as broad of an audience as possible because it's a popular fucking anime fighting game. So it's something cool you can play with your mates, especially when you are drinking, so you can't play anything that requires a lot of effort. If you're a fan of My Hero Academia, it's a good chunk of characters from the anime and it does justice to their portrayal, I guess. it has a lot more going for it than the first game, but god fucking damn it, am I mad that the developers dropped Steam Remote Play together for no reason. I wanted to get this game primarily to play with one of my friends because during my college years we watched My Hero Academia. Now I don't think about that anime as highly, but playing through My Hero Academia, My Hero One's Justice 1, between classes we would go back to my dorm and boot it up for a couple of matches, just have fun. Either this or Tekken 7, and Tekken 7 is an actual fighting game, but sometimes it's overwhelming because it's an actual fighting game, right? And we really had fun with this. Game, and then it turned out it has Steam Remote Play. So after classes, I would sometimes invite my mate to a game, even though he didn't own the game, and we just played like local through the internet. It's such a cool feature. The game is the same, but they removed this feature. I am not sure why. I wanted this game for that specific feature because I now live in a different country and I wanted to play through I wanted to play with my friend using the internet, but he would have to buy this, and I don't think I can convince him to buy this slob game. But he's coming to visit, so I can at least play some local fucking matches with him, I guess. And yeah, it's serviceable. It tried to be more like a fighting game in 2, which is cool. So let's move on to Monster Hunter Rise. Monster Hunter Rise is going into A tier, and I will put it above Dead Cells because I had so much fun with this game's co-op. It was unbelievable. So yeah, I put 58 hours into this to do some side challenges and like the main story. I like it, I recommend it, it's a fair 7 out of 10 game, but I'm super confused about why you would ever pick this up. Monster Hunter World is better in every single regard that matters. The environments are fucking ugly. This is a big one. This game is really like ugly because it was made for the Switch and the Switch is laughably powerless. I don't know why they keep releasing Monster Hunters for like portable consoles. It's not a game that does well on a portable console, I think. It's a big game with hugely detailed and complicated game that doesn't fit the Switch. The environments are ugly, there are fewer monsters, fewer armor sets, fewer layered armors, fewer collabs, and the frankly idiotic mechanics of making you hunt down bugs that permanently give you stamina and HP for 10 minutes before you actually engage in combat with some of the harder monsters. This is in comparison to World, of course. The only offsets are the mount, which speeds up travel across the map, the climbing system, which is standout good feature by far, and the new wire bug attacks, and the combat overall is slightly faster and better. It feels better. Like I think Monster Hunter Rise is a better introduction if you are still looking into it. It's also available on PC. The mount hardly matters for the most part. While the new wire bug attacks are nice, they don't add that much. The parkour is fantastic, hope it stays forever. And the rampage quests are boring, uninspired, and trash compared to normal hunting. The rest is just kinda like Word, so very good. If you never played Monster Hunter, just buy Word. If you completed everything in Word, I guess you could give this a shot. It's a good game. I'm surprised by how much of a downgrade it is from direct predecessor. Also, this has one of the worst final bosses in any game I have ever seen, Lemao. I changed my mind after writing this review. Yeah, if you never played Monster Hunter, maybe buy this. If you completed everything in Rise, then move to World for more content. Yeah, I went back to World and I have to say, World is a better game. They fucked up the introduction so much. It has like cutscenes, people talking. What the fuck am I watching cutscenes for in a Monster Hunter game? I wanna hit the big lizard with my stick, man. The Word tried to like ham in their like story missions. It doesn't work. It really doesn't work. But overall, when you get to the end game, Word is so much better. Yeah, the introduction to Rise is much better. It's much faster, much cleaner. It takes you way less to get into actual monster hunting. In Monster Hunter World, they for so long they try to keep you away from hunting monsters, which is the literal main gameplay. I don't know what they were cooking, but keep them away from the stove. Then I played Just Cause 1, and this thing is going like right here. So, Just Cause 1 is a very shitty open world shooter, sandbox shooter, that aged horribly despite coming out in 2006. But this is why I think it's so good. Just Cause 1 has to be one of the best fun bad games I played, right up there with Deadly Premonition. It's fucking terrible to start with, it aged like milk, it honestly feels like a PS1 era shooter, and the narrative tries so hard to make you think it's cool and badass and fails so miserably. There are difficulty spikes up the ass. You can die and never find out if you killed yourself with a battle rocket from your heli, if one single enemy you cannot possibly see from so far away launched a rocket, or if the game decided fuck you, die. You think I'm joking, but there are certain car types that will immediately launch you into the stratosphere and kill you if you get into them. There are cars that don't drive in this game. One of them is your summon. You literally have 4 vehicles you can summon to your location, and one of them doesn't fucking work. Any angle above 15 degrees will turn your car into a slab of butter and launch you at max speed in the opposite direction. There are random rocks in the jungle that you will crash into over and over if you ever get off the road. There are literal pitfalls in the middle of the fucking jungle because topography of those islands doesn't make a lick of sense. The game is literally trolling you every minute you are playing it. It feels like an elaborate shitpost. I couldn't stop laughing in between fits of rage. This almost feels like a psyop, and the worst thing is, I kinda liked it. I finished the story, it ends up with you strapping C4 to the president of this country you are doing a coup of, while you are skydiving in purgatory, and then the protagonist opens a parachute, puts on sunglasses, and your handler says the president always wanted to be an integral part of the country, now he's all over the country, while the president gets fucking nuked by your C4 mid-air. But I cannot imagine, like, it's so insane. This game literally fried my brain with what the fuck was happening inside of it. But I cannot imagine getting around to 100% the game. There's literally a billion randomly generated missions that are just terrible. But fuck, it doesn't matter, this game is going for around $1 goddamn. The campaign is 8 hours. Just play the campaign, it's so stupid, it wraps around to being like such a great goddamn time. I loved Just Cause 1, I would never replay it. I loved it so much, I would never fucking go back to it, but I loved it. The one time I played it was so good. So then I played Counter-Strike 2 for the last time that year. And Counter-Strike 2 is just like, I will put it top of here. Yeah, that's where it goes, I don't care. I have 1280 hours, not in just CS2, in CSGO in general, which kinda goes into like, you know, Counter-Strike 2 because it's the same game. I honestly hate that people call this CSGO but prettier. It's prettier, true, but it also lacks all of the maps, all of the game modes, custom servers, while the graphics don't matter that much at all. Some of the changes are legit nice, But right now, this game is still in beta, and it's still to this day in beta. Until we get until we get all the alternative game modes and custom servers, and all of the maps that were in CSGO, this will forever be worse than CSGO. I'm sorry. It's just not... It's not an upgrade that I was hoping for. I don't think it's an upgrade. Like, I don't think anybody was like, you know what, this is such an upgrade over the CSGO, because CSGO has so much quality of life by the end of it. I'm sure they will get there eventually. Right now, at the beginning of month into 2024, it's not better than CSGO. So after the disappointment of Counter-Strike 2, I played 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. This is very unlike everything I have on the list. I think this is the only this is the only visual novel on here. Like nothing else quite reaches the height of 13 Sentinels in terms of you are just watching a story. Like there is almost no gameplay. There is gameplay, but I will get to that. It's like two separate games stitched together, and it's holy fuck, it's going right below Kenshi. Yeah, 13 Sentinels is a very anime game, and people who are very sensitive about anime stuff will not like this at all. So I finished the story after 57 hours. What do I even say? It's a sci-fi RPG visual novel thing that took me 37 hours to get through, and I was engaged for every single minute of the story, man. Just the fact that this is an advanced sci-fi shit with absolutely bonkers story that somehow sticks the landing, and I was like, okay, that made sense. By the end of it is an achievement itself. The gameplay that was not essentially a glorified visual novel felt weak though. I honestly wish you had to do a lot less of it for the purposes of the story, and more of it was kept optional for people who dig it. Other than that, holy fuck, if you like sci-fi stories, you need to play this. It does contain a few anime tropey things that are super cringe, but they will barely register between the sessions of pummeling your brain with plot twists that the game drops every 13 minutes through the entire run. This is stuck on the PS4, I believe. Oh, it's on Nintendo Switch too. Okay, you can only emulate it on PC, I guess. So you can play it on PS4, Nintendo Switch or PS5. If you don't have any of those consoles, I recommend at least watching like a let's play on the YouTube of somebody who did this, because this game deserves to be talked about. It's so fucking insane. It has like every single plot point of every single sci-fi thing you have ever heard about. Time travel, robot androids disguised as fucking human beings, mind virus, mind download, mind replacement, I'm actually two guys, fucking giant mechs versus kaiju. The fucking kaiju travel through time to destroy humanity. There is so much shit in this. I don't want to talk too much about this because the story is core gameplay and I don't want to spoil anything, but it's one of the most insane sci-fi stories I have ever seen or heard about. Like every popular sci-fi thing is in there, like Terminator is in there, you know. Anything that's popular sci-fi, somehow it influenced this game to become like this, and that's a really cool game. Okay, we're down to 5, so let's keep going before I spoil anything. 31st December was the last day I played Fortnite in the year. I fucking love Fortnite. So Fortnite goes really high up on this list. I am sorry, I'm a certified Fortnite kid. let's say like A tier, above Overgrowth. Fortnite continues to. I cannot check my playtime. It would be huge, but it's. I can't check it, sadly. I wish they allowed you to. Fortnite continues to be the only game I have ever played season to season for so long. The content drops, gameplay remixes, overhauls, just the fact that it remained this relevant for so many years is remarkable. While I don't really like the current Battle Royale gameplay of the newest season, which is Chapter 5 Season 1, who fucking cares? We just got Guitar Hero, Racing Game Mode, Lego Open Survival. Like, I wish Counter-Strike, Dead by Daylight and other online games I played had the fucking balls to drop random fun game modes in there to disrupt the stagnation of the game. I didn't even talk about all the stupid, frankly nonsensical crossovers this game has. Like, everybody knows from the memes the stupid shit going on. You have like Geralt from Witcher with Rick squadding up with Rick Sanchez and fucking Anakin Skywalker to fight Demogorgon from Stranger Things and push goddamn Alan Wake, who's building a giant tower in the middle of the field. It's so funny. I like it because it feels so casual in certain modes. It's exactly like Dead by Daylight in that you can play this with friends and just turn off your brain and talk with them. Like, the gameplay is happening in the background. Sometimes you're winning, sometimes you're losing, sometimes you're fucking using the new cardboard box from Metal Gear Solid to sneak past enemies, and it's funny. Sometimes you get sniped from like 200 meters away, but it doesn't matter, you just queue up for another game. And there is a skill element, I think, in Fortnite if you play the build mode. Like, the building is essential to do well in that, but they added no build for casuals like me who just wanna talk with their friends while we are hitting the greedy with fucking Geralt of Rivia, you know? Or just doing like Gangnam Style as Demogorgon from Stranger Things. It's dumb. I love it. It's a really consistent game that changes a lot throughout the season. It keeps things fresh, which is not a thing that for example, League of Legends, I don't think, doesn't succeed in that at all. And Dead by Daylight, they don't evolve as quickly as Fortnite, for example. Then we have, okay, Honkai Star Rail. I already reviewed. This was the last day I played Honkai Star Rail in the year. I reviewed it when it came out as a first day. So then I played Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2, which is a remake of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. And this game goes fucking hard. This game goes so hard, I will put it up here between the postals. So Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1+2, I am a certified Tony Hawk Pro Skater head. If Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 was on this list, it would be like, I think, literally the top of it. I put so many hours into that stupid little game when I felt, oh, you know, my mood is a little bit off today. Boot up Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, select a new character that I haven't cleared the story yet, go through the fucking airport, you know, go through the cruise ship, go through like each of those iconic levels, and my mood instantly like skyrocketed. So the remake of 1 and 2, I played 2 a lot. 2, I didn't play 1 that much. I finished it after 31 hours. This is an unbelievably faithful remake of the first 2 Tony Hawk games. It looks amazing, plays unbelievably good, and has some real ass challenges in store for you if you want to 100% it. There are like optional challenges that you can do in this game. Some of them are insanity. It took me like hours to get them, like combining certain parts of the level in one combo. The only real issue I could have with this is that this is a remake of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, and those games were kinda very simple. It's just a bundle of like levels you go through, and you can go through them so easily and quickly. Because of this remake is also very simple. You can be done with all the goals on all the levels with a single skater in 5 hours. I think it's even lower. I think it's 3 to 4, maybe even less, like 3 hours, even if this is like your first time playing Tony Hawk ever. And anything left after that is just to repeat and repeat and repeat those same levels while playing multiplayer split screen, doing additional challenges. But then again, this was always the case with those more arcadey Tony Hawks. Playing this also sucks on some meta level because the studio that made this remake is now dead and buried, which means no 4 and no 3 and 4 remakes, which are the two games more dear and near my heart. If you ever had fun with any Tony Hawk's game, this will 100% be up your alley, because it's definitely up there when the whole franchise is combined. Yeah, it's just good as Tony Hawk, man. It's just good as Tony Hawk. If you like Tony Hawk, then you will like this one. If you don't like Tony Hawk, you will not like this game. That's about as simple as it is. And if you want to find out if you like Tony Hawk, this is a good way to enter the franchise and find out. And it drops down like really cheap most of the time. Then we have Just Cause 2, and Just Cause 2 is going into C tier above Demon's Souls remake. So Just Cause 2 is the game people talk about when you mention Just Cause. This is the game they say, I played this in my childhood, this was so good, this was peak of this franchise. And I disagree. So I finished it in 12 hours. It's just really mid. One of the gaming world's most uninspired story campaigns, gameplay that's actually fun but gives away everything it has up its sleeve within the first hour, then it gets pretty stale. The main story could be completed in around 2 to 3 hours if the game did not force you to do activities in the open world until you achieve enough points for the game to let you do the next mission. The biggest claim to fame is the tools you are given, mainly the parachute anytime you want and the grappling hook that will get you anywhere. These make any vehicle other than the assault choppers obsolete. Seriously, there's zero reason to ever get in a car. I wouldn't mind that much, but the fucking grapple is clunky as all hell. There are so many needless animations and restrictions on where you can aim that will constantly fuck you over, not to mention that explosions and enemy fire constantly shake your camera. I am not one of those people who easily falls victim to the shaking camera effects or gets motion sick. This game grabs your fucking camera and does with it constantly. You cannot see shit. It's all so blurry when you enter combat. It's insanity. It makes it impossible to see any detail. People have colorful memories of this game, and that's where all the praise come from, I assume. But this series seems like one of the middest gaming IPs I played. The first one was at least so bad it was funny, but I didn't smile once playing this one. So why not give it less than 5 out of 10? Well, it's not like bad or anything, it's just very mid. Yeah, this game is so mid. Even the crazy story got so much serious. Like, they expanded cutscene, better voice acting, better like motion, better like animations for the cutscenes, right? But the cutscenes in turn became very long and unskippable, and they fucking sucked. The finale in this one is there are 4 nukes, and you are riding on the nukes, and you are using grapple to change on which nuke you are standing, and the president of this country you are cooping again for the American fucking country is standing on the fourth one in the front, and you are engaging in a fucking firefight, trying to throw him off so you can disable one of the 3 nukes you are on, and do that until one of them remains, and then you do a QTE on the last nuke to beat the fuck out of him. Somehow that's less cool than the finale of the first one. And like the finale was crazy and funny, right? With the president and the nukes. Everything leading up to that point, it was bad. You were just sitting in front of your screen, waiting for the cutscene to end so you can shoot something. Like the first one was funny with how bad it was. Then we have Chernobylite. Chernobylite is a cool first-person horror experience, maybe? Let's call it like first-person survival horror. It's very in the vein of Stalker, but not as open, right? Because Stalker had those giant open fucking areas. So Chernobylite, I liked it. I really liked it. I think I'm gonna put it like here or here. Nah, I'm gonna leave it here. Fuck it, I'm gonna put it above Fortnite just because it's not an indie studio, but a very smart studio. So Chernobylite is a fun romp across the Chernobyl exclusion zone that you can easily 100% in 16 hours. It does become quite stale towards the tail end when you figure out everything already, but thanks to its design, missions can be rushed through very easily. The last mission is quite fun suicide mission, where your companions you gather throughout the game can die, Mass Effect style, influencing their endings, right? The combat is very whatever. The story is fun, with a last second twist that might not land, depending on what you expected from it. The atmosphere and exploration aspects are second to none, although you cannot shake the feeling that this game could have been so much more. I pray for a Chernobylite 2 with an open world, expanded building and more enemy variety. I am not crazy about open world games, but this would be perfect for that, or a Stalker-like open areas. And yeah, it's just the missions are the problem, because you have like, I think 5 or 6 areas, and all of the missions happen in those areas, so you will keep coming back to the same areas with no changes. Like sure, maybe the soldiers are now wearing like better armor. Maybe there are some glowing zombies here. Maybe there's a radiation storm now where it wasn't. But those areas are so small and simple, this game feels way smaller than it is because of them. That structure was a mess in my opinion. I wish they did something different, but it was pleasant enough, you know. It's a good game. I definitely recommend it because of the price. Like, that game is really fucking cheap from what I remember. And lastly, yeah, this is the last game I played. This game I finished actually like 2 weeks ago this year, but it's still going on this list because I wanna like sum up every game I played in that last year. So the last game I played was Needy Streamer Overload. This game has been so fucking hyped up for like by so many people that it's this crazy story, it's super quirky gameplay, it's like so good. You can even see it here, 3 out of 5 is that's 7 out of 10, that's a good as fucking game, right? But most of reviews are like this, ooh, she's me for real, here's what I thought about it. So 4.5 hours to beat. I wanted to do all of the achievements, but I just couldn't, man. The longer I spent playing Needy Streamer Overload to see all of the endings, the lower the game's score drops, so I'm gonna cut my losses and rate it 5 out of 10. The base gameplay idea is novel and the message is sorta obvious to anyone tech savvy enough. but it's okay. The presentation is solid. None of that fucking matters because replaying this game is pure hellfire trash, and I have zero approximate idea how this was not caught in development or testing. This game has couple different endings, right? It encourages you to replay it. That's the big part. It very clearly encourages you to play it many times. But there are unskippable long animations and text logs you have already seen 10 fucking times replaying every time you try to replay it for a different ending. Stupid requirements that constantly get in the way of one another, making you trigger an ending you already did by pure accident, random events that make you reload the day to avoid them, and there are a fuck ton of bugs for such a simple game. All of those make it so incredibly tedious to play this. You can see that in the Steam achievements. Most people did not bother with the process despite the game being incredibly short. So I asked, how the fuck does a game that can't hold most users' attentions for more than 3 hours, despite having the content to do so, have a 95% rating on Steam? This game is so overrated in my opinion, it's insanity. Like I said, if you boot up Steam right now, it has 95%. That's crazy, that's pure copium. They are inhaling that copium like through their veins, man. I don't know how this game landed. Like it's a cool game, I suppose, to play it once, and it's cheap. But people make this out to be like the ultimate indie game, like something like, I don't know, Hollow Knight or yeah, even Salt and Sanctuary. I don't think it's that caliber of indie game. It's just not. So this is the entire list. This is 72 games that I played in 2013. Don't know if I will I have a bunch of games I'm playing through right now. Don't know if I will manage to hit such a high number for this year.